April 1945, Western Germany, near the Rhine. The war was almost over. German resistance was collapsing across the front. Entire units were surrendering without a fight. White flags appeared in towns before American troops even arrived. General George S. Patton had seen it everywhere. Men who had fought for years suddenly laying down their weapons, but not all of them. There were still pockets of resistance, fanatics, SS holdouts, units that refused to surrender, and sometimes something worse. That morning, an American convoy moved through a narrow forest road just outside a small town. It wasn't a combat mission. No artillery, no tanks, just supply trucks, ammunition, food, medical gear, drivers, escorts, routine movement. Or at least, it was supposed to be. At 8:40, the lead truck hit a mine. The explosion tore through the vehicle, flipping it onto its side. The convoy stopped instantly. Then came the gunfire. From the trees, short bursts, controlled, precise, not panic firing, deliberate. The Americans scrambled for cover, diving behind trucks, returning fire blindly into the forest, but they couldn't see the enemy. No uniforms, no clear targets, just flashes between the trees. Within minutes, men were down, some killed instantly, others bleeding out on the dirt road, calling for help that couldn't reach them. The ambush lasted less than 5 minutes, then silence. Whoever attacked them was gone. No bodies, no wounded left behind, nothing, just the dead. Reinforcements arrived and secured the area. They searched the forest. What they found made no sense. Weapons hidden, rifles wrapped in cloth, ammunition buried in hollow logs, and clothing, civilian clothing, no uniforms. The report reached headquarters within the hour. 12 dead, 9 wounded. No confirmed enemy casualties. Patton read the report in silence, then looked up. Where? 10 miles east of mine, sir. Any prisoners? A few suspects detained in a nearby town. Patton stood immediately. I'm going there. By midday, he arrived. The road had been cleared, but the damage remained. Burned metal, shattered glass, dark stains in the dirt. He walked slowly. No one spoke. He stopped at the crater, looked down, then turned. Show me the prisoners. They were gathered in the town square. 8 men, farmers, laborers, 1 schoolteacher. At least, that's what they claimed. Each had been found with something: gunpowder on hands, hidden weapons, evidence. Patton approached. They watched him, some defiant, some nervous, none speaking. Translator, a soldier stepped forward. Ask them who organized the attack. The question was translated. Silence. Ask them who gave the order. Again, silence. Patton nodded slowly, then gestured toward the road behind him. Ask them if they know what happened there. One man spoke quietly. They say American soldiers were killed. Patton looked at him. Yes, they were. He stepped closer. Ask him how. The man hesitated. In a fight. Patton repeated it. A fight. He let the word sit. A fight requires 2 sides that can see each other. A fight requires soldiers wearing uniforms. What happened on that road was not a fight. The square went completely still. You hid. You waited. You opened fire and disappeared. The words landed heavily. One of the men spoke again. This is our land. We defended it. Patton nodded once. Defended it. He looked around the village, then back at them. If you wanted to defend it, you should have done it as soldiers. Silence. You don't get to be civilians and soldiers when it suits you. You don't get to hide and then kill. He stepped closer. Do you know what that makes you? No answer. It makes you unlawful combatants. A long pause followed. Patton turned to the officer beside him. All detainees will be held for investigation. Yes, sir. They will be treated as enemy fighters. One of the prisoners reacted. We are civilians. Patton didn't raise his voice. Civilians don't plant mines. Civilians don't ambush convoys. Civilians don't kill wounded men. That line lingered. No one spoke. Patton gave his next order. Search everything. Every house, every cellar. The search lasted 2 days. What they found changed everything. Weapons caches, explosives, maps, and a list. American units, routes, timings. This had been planned, not random. By the end of the investigation, 14 were involved, 9 directly attacked, 5 supported. They had chosen the convoy deliberately. They knew it was vulnerable, and they struck. The case went to tribunal. Several were imprisoned, 4 were executed. The report was clear: a deliberate act of unlawful combat. The American dead were buried with honors, names recorded, families notified. One of them was Sergeant Daniel Reeves, 24 years old, from Texas. His brother later said he wasn't killed in battle. He was killed by people hiding from one. Patton never spoke publicly about it, but one officer remembered. He didn't shout. He didn't rage. He just made it clear there are rules, and if you break them, you don't get to hide. Another soldier recalled something else. After it was over, he looked back at that road and said, "If this is how the war ends, then we make sure it doesn't end without rules." And in that moment, it was clear. He wasn't just fighting the enemy anymore. He was fighting what the war was becoming. He was fighting what the war was becoming, but the war wasn't finished yet, and neither were the consequences. 2 days after the arrests, a new report came in, this time from another unit, different road, different village, same pattern. A patrol had been fired on, no uniforms, no visible enemy. Shots from buildings, then silence, 3 wounded, 1 dead. Patton read the report without expression, then placed it down slowly. "It's spreading," he said. No one in the room disagreed. Colonel Harris stood across from him. "Sir, word is getting out. Civilians are being told they can fight this way." Patton looked up. "By who?" Harris hesitated. "Remnants of SS command. Local leadership. Anyone still trying to resist." Patton nodded once. "They've run out of soldiers," he said, "so now they're using everyone else." Silence filled the room, because everyone understood what that meant. This wasn't just resistance anymore. It was a shift, a different kind of war, harder to see, harder to fight, and far easier to lose control of. Patton stood. "Get me every division commander on the line." Within hours, orders were issued, clear, direct, unambiguous. Any armed individual not in uniform would be treated as an enemy combatant. Any town found aiding such attacks would be fully searched and secured, no exceptions. The message spread fast, through units, through officers, through the ranks, and eventually through the towns themselves. At first there was resistance, whispers, denials, claims of innocence, but the searches told a different story: weapons hidden under floors, ammunition behind walls, signals passed between villages. It wasn't isolated, it was coordinated. 1 week later, Patton returned to the same road, the one where the convoy had been hit. It looked different now, cleaned, secured, quiet. But the silence felt heavier, like something had been left behind. He stepped out of his vehicle, walked to the same spot. The crater was gone, filled in, smoothed over, but he stopped there anyway, as if he could still see it. Behind him, Colonel Harris approached. "Area's secure, sir." Patton didn't turn. "For now," he said. Harris didn't respond, because they both knew that was true. A convoy passed slowly behind them. Different unit, different men, same road, moving forward. Patton watched them, then spoke. "They need to know," he said. "Know what, sir?" "That the rules still matter." Harris looked at him. "Even now?" Patton turned slightly. His expression didn't change, especially now. The reports began to change after that. Fewer ambushes, fewer hidden attacks, not gone, but reduced. The message had reached where it needed to, and the cost of breaking those rules had become clear. Weeks later, Germany surrendered. The war in Europe was over, cities fell silent, weapons were laid down, and the fighting finally stopped. But for the men who had been on that road, it didn't end so easily. Some carried wounds, others carried memories, and some never came back at all. Years later, one of the officers who had been there wrote about that day, not the battle, not the ambush, but what came after. He wrote, "It wasn't the shooting that stayed with me. It was what he said after. He wasn't angry. He wasn't trying to punish anyone out of emotion. He was trying to draw a line and make sure it didn't disappear. Because by the end of the war, that line had started to fade between soldier and civilian, between combat and murder, between war and something else entirely. And in that moment, standing on that road, General George S. Patton made a decision not just about the enemy, but about the kind of war his men would fight. And more importantly, the kind they wouldn't.